I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for new years and new days and new starts. We just thank you for all the opportunities that will be in front of us this year, for all the things that you have in store for us that we don't know yet. We just pray that our hearts and minds be open to new avenues to travel, for ways to help the community, and the very many different ways there are or will be to help folks in this community. We just thank you for everyone that's here tonight. We thank you for guiding us. We thank you for wisdom that you tell us that if we ask for it, you will bless us with. So we pray for wisdom tonight to help us make good decisions that reflect you and your heart for this community. And we thank you for all the blessings that we have. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. All right. Jan, if you would, roll call.
Brandon Elmore.
Present.
Bob Lay.
Here.
Brewer.
Here.
Tim Heiss.
Here.
William Freaks.
Here.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone, and I trust you guys have had an opportunity to review the agenda, the consent agenda, I should say. Do you have any questions or comments? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I will move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Consent agenda approved as presented. We had a slight tweak to the agenda. We have presenters. It was originally
Greystone.
Enterprise. Thank you. It originally was Enterprise, but we have Greystone here to present. And if you don't mind, I will turn the floor over to you guys. So,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, interested parties. My name's Brother William. We're here representing Greystone, Tranquility Family Recovery, nonprofit 501c, serving the public in various capacities, primarily the recovery capacity. That would be by facilitating programs, Celebrate Recovery. But I'm not sure if anybody's ever heard of the Celebrate Recovery program. It's very similar to the AA and NA, but it's specifically Christ-centered program. We also have AA and NA available for other venues if they're interested in a more non-secular avenue. We facilitate all three of those programs in addition to the Adult and Teen Challenge curriculum. That's approximately 14 books, and it's approximately a 7-month program. And it's our intention to facilitate that to lessen the degree of incarceration in Randolph County. In lieu of incarceration, shortening the incarceration, or being as a part of a probation guideline. We've been in communication with Judge Arnett. He's very interested and on board. He's just waiting for us to get the ball rolling. The Adult and Teen Challenge is near and dear to my heart. I believed it's what saved my life in 1997. God saved my life. He just put Teen Challenge in front of me. Having made it through that program, doing an internship, and then staying on as staff, it planted seeds that were absent my entire life. Some people you may not know, but some people actually grow up with the generational iniquity of their father not knowing God, and then them not knowing God. And it's never going to be passed on to their children until somebody steps up and provides the healing services that we provide. Well, how we will be serving specifically Union City is more of a management capacity, vetting nonprofit organizations to go on an umbrella. Preferably between 7 and 12 other nonprofits, all specializing in unique overlapping skills that are needed in the community. This is your community. I don't need to express how much need there is here. And I can only share the rare opportunity for a disabled American veteran such as myself with a stipend enough to take care of his family to be able to do this with no in-pocket. Well, I'm accepting nothing for our services. It's a pure nonprofit. The only people that would be paid is vendors, etc. With the umbrella being separate from Greystone, the management portion of it, I think that the other people coming on board are going to light this city on fire for recovery. I believe there's a revival coming in the churches. I believe that revival is going to spill over into the streets, and we need people there to direct traffic. So I'm going to direct them right into other people's congregations, into the social services needs they require, into their own homes, and into jobs. Like I said, I'm specifically the Adult and Teen Challenge. My wife is the Celebrate Recovery expert. She's the fantastic one with women, children, teens, people of all ages. Pretty much me, I deal with the knuckleheads, the boys who are angry for no reason, that are just mad at society because their dad was mean to them, and their dad and their grandpa and their uncle. So they turn to alcohol. The one thing I want to say before we get into this is these are both miraculous programs. I'm not going to do your research for you. You're all in positions of authority, so I'm assuming that you'll do it yourself. If you do the research on these programs, the recidivism rates just blow your mind in comparison to secular programs and or just no programs. You just have to check on it. I'm going to turn this over to my beautiful wife, Kirsten, and she's probably going to speak on the Celebrate Recovery aspect of our program.
Hello, I'm Kirsten Maines. I'm the Vice President of Greystone Tranquility Family Recovery. Celebrate children and families are my heart. He does, like he said, he deals with the knuckleheads. I'm a hard advocate for healthy families and recovering from a multitude of things. Only one of 3 people who attend our meetings are attending for chemical dependency. So a lot of people think that Celebrate Recovery is only for alcohol and drugs. It's not. There's a lot of other things that we deal with. Abuse behind the doors is hard to deal with, and helping children to reverse the cycle that they had during their childhood is a strong focus with our Celebrate Recovery too. We have Celebration Place in the Landing, and Celebration Place is for children 5 to 13, and then the Landing is 13 to 18. Now, if there's a teenager in Celebration Place and they're a little more mature and they're ready to move on to the Landing before they're 13, that's okay. But the curriculum follows along with the Celebrate Recovery curriculum. It's just kind of devolved,
age appropriate.
From, a little more age appropriate for the children to understand. But it teaches them how to have the tools in their belt to cope with mom going away for a week on a binge, or dad hitting mom and then mom abusing the kids, and all of those misfortunes that we deal with sometimes in life. So I am going to school to be a social worker and a family advocate. I have 1 semester left and I'm finished, actually only about 4 credit hours, so not even a semester. It's been a really, really long haul to finish, and I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
Children and families are my heart. I came from a very dysfunctional family. My dad drank, he beat my mom, and my mom abused us in many ways due to that. And it's a bad cycle, and I'm grateful that in my life and my family I was able to reverse the cycle by recovering. We were in Celebrate Recovery and we still are active. You can't heal other people without healing yourself. So that's what we do, and we're just here to hopefully bring the heart back to your community.
We're not a Band-Aid. We're going to be here until I can't do it anymore. We're going to build something stable, something that's long-lasting, something that is going to be eye-appealing and not interfering with the community, just uplifting the community. That's what we're here for, is to uplift the existing leadership, relieve some of the burden that you're not equipped to deal with, and train people who are.
We want to fill in some of the gaps that get missed sometimes. If somebody needs, clothes for their kids, and sometimes there's not a place to find that, we want to be that whole. If somebody's applying for benefits but they can't figure something out, call and we can help you get over the speed bump. Sometimes there's just little things that people are missing that we want to put that puzzle piece in there. Yeah, the follow-up. And
Amazing.
Sometimes it takes a lot of invasiveness with somebody in recovery to make sure that they're doing what they need to do, no matter what they're recovering from. Are you covering your bases? Call them every day sometimes. I call people sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, because you gotta check in that much. Make sure they're not out on a binge or doing something they shouldn't do.
Don't forget the miracle that happens in 2 or 3 years from that point, after she's been harassing these young ladies to get their life together. They're doing the same thing. Now those 3 or 4 are talking to 12.
Mm-hmm.
It's the numbers are just there. I've seen it work. And when you've seen it work, it's hard to relay it to those who haven't.
85% of the people who attend a Celebrate Recovery meeting for the first time stay with the church. So that's a huge thing. If we can, 85% of the people who attend a meeting stay with the church, that means there's 85% of people who are finding their way to God who didn't go to church before. They're not only going to a meeting, they're with the church. And when you're with the church, you're with the family for life. So
We need to find people, families that have never had one.
Amen.
Starting with ours, and then finding them a niche. Got to plug them in somewhere. Get the continued support and follow up. Is there any questions for us?
So the umbrella ministry that you talk about with the other entities, can you give some examples of
Sure.
the other entities, and also kind of maybe what the vision is for where that might occur, where that might take place?
Okay, we've got, I would say, probably a 2 to 3 year plan. With the size of the facility, we figure we could fit, depending upon what the nonprofits do. A nonprofit may just need a meeting place. Therefore, they just need a little tiny office off to the side and use the shared space. If that happens a few times, then that would afford us the opportunity to have up to 10 nonprofits, I believe, under that umbrella, all doing something unique. Women's services specifically, women and children services, men's services, veteran services, food services, clothing services, medical services, housing services. We can squeeze one more in there because we're the 10th. And what we're doing is what we've already explained. If they're all unique and individual owned nonprofits, that means that they can start sharing in the costs. That's where the cooperative comes into effect. By the end of that 2 to 3 year plan, we hope to not be leaning on anybody else's funds other than the nonprofits that are dwelling and working within. I think that's an achievable goal. Getting the property into shape, into condition, vetting the nonprofits. That's what any working capital would be used for in the interim. Is setting the meetings, is going and meeting the people, is getting the estimates and bids and finding how much this will cost, finding out what the contributions for the nonprofit is going to be towards those costs, if they can do that, or building to suit if we have to go through those measures. Filling that place with vetted, good nonprofits, like I said, that kind of overlap a little bit. They've all got the same grace in mind. The people are coming in that tired. They're tired of jumping through the hoops. They're tired of scheduling an appointment for 3 weeks out for a hungry child today. They're tired of being sick and tired. They're tired of going for that next bump of dope when they got to go steal copper to get it. They really are tired of that. And if they're afforded an opportunity, they will quit. People will stop hurting themselves if there's enough support. If there's not enough support, they're just going to crawl back to the same animal that they're used to. They know how much that hurts, so they're going to go back to that because it's an expectation. It can't get any worse. It's scary going forward. You need people to hold your hand going forward, and that's what we do. We don't drop the ball after we get them shuffled off to this. We don't pass the buck. We stick with them. till they're healthy and they're mentoring. And then we stay with them even more because they're a success story. And who doesn't like to stand next to a success story?
And it's not always a success
No.
story.
There's a lot of hurts along the way.
Heartbreaks, losses.
I've come to peace with it that you can't want it. We say it all the time. You can't want it more than they do. That broke our hearts the first. Wow, crying all the time. It still chokes me up a little bit. The people we like really lost their lives. The recovery community is a scary community to work within, unless you have faith and are bold in the Lord, because it would be intimidating otherwise. If God didn't have my back, I couldn't go to those dark places, those scary, dangerous, wooded areas underneath the overpasses. You know, I couldn't go in there if I didn't have God at my back. Is there any specific questions?
Questions?
Tito, yeah.
So, how I understand umbrella is that it's an overarching sort of like a, what's the term?
Basically a supervisory, assuring that the nonprofits are doing what they said they were going to do. Basically, it's accountability, an oversight, basically.
And well, the word I was looking for was coalition. So, but you're talking more, I mean, it's,
Secular.
what do you mean secular?
It would that umbrella would remain secular. We would get people from every walk of life, as many interested parties as possible, because there are some businessmen that are good stewards that may not be men of faith, but they do believe in man and helping man. We don't want to exclude anybody from the potential of sitting on that board. You know, vet them, no scandal. Obviously, good, solid citizens, people that are genuinely interested are going to be offered, you know, to come and talk to us about being board members.
All right, I'm just going to continue listening.
Please, please.
Have you done this before? If so, where? And then are you coming into Union City new, or how's that?
Union City, yes. We've been in Winchester for 2 years. It'll be 3 years in August. And yes, to the first question, I believe, was, have we done this before? I've been a part of it before. I've been a bit player. I've seen it happen. My mentor is the one that was actually orchestrating the whole thing. He was better at it than I am, because he got his church donated, and I would end up having to pay for mine. But he had the Catholic Church donated a large schoolhouse building, and several other nonprofits came under the umbrella. I forget the name of the umbrella was not as important as the name of the nonprofits that were operating out of it. Pretty much nobody even knew who the oversight or board of elders or whatever term they wanted to use was. They just made sure everything was getting here, make sure the money was being spent properly, and the right people were being interviewed for the right positions.
Did the member, if you call them that, organizations that the member nonprofits do, I mean, is it hard to get them to accept an oversight function?
The oversight is basically, that's a good question. Basically, the oversight, barring scandal, barring attraction to criminal element, we basically serve the criminal element. But barring attraction to making like big mistakes, things that cost the others, there'd be a set of rules in place that they have to abide by, and they would be tenants anyway. Pretty much, if something bad were to happen and the nonprofit were to go, you know, kaput, a lot of nonprofits fail because they just can't generate the support. We're not going to be supporting these nonprofits. They're going to be self-sufficient. We're just going to be, the umbrella is just going to be making sure that they're operating in good faith underneath their roof.
So it's not necessarily any capacity building that you do for them.
I don't understand the question.
You're not necessarily training them or helping them to showing them how to
Absolutely.
organize themselves.
That's the cooperative.
So
There's
you
going to be
want-
people that are from this nonprofit that are good at this. There's going to be folks with this skill set, and this skill set.
We
And
wanna
we're going to be
be-
bringing them all to the table.
We want to be one door for people to walk in to get everything they need done, or almost everything they need done, all their I's dotted and all their T's crossed. They don't have to feel ashamed because they have to walk into the food stamp office or stand in line. They're going into a building, and the people standing outside who aren't going in the building don't know what they're going in there for. Are they going in there to get clothes? Are they going in there to apply for food stamps? Because a lot of times it's the shame that stops people from going to get the help that they need. And if we have one door that people walk into, the people on the outside have no idea what they're going in for.
The question, I kind of lost the question sometimes. As far as the oversight, where were you with the last?
No, my concern was, what types of services do you provide
What do I provide the tenants?
Exactly.
What do I provide the tenants? Depending upon their participation, utilities, internet, the insurance is paid, the building itself, security, monitoring.
And partnership, working together
Partnership.
to make sure that our community,
That's
your
exactly
community
it.
and our community is getting taken care of.
A true cooperative where interchangeable volunteers. If this specific nonprofit has volunteers and this nonprofit has volunteers, they'll be mixing. If they're busy, they don't need anything over here. They do. It's a legitimate cooperative with the umbrella, basically just making sure that everybody plays nice. And if they've committed to a monetary stipend for being able to be in the building, if they've committed to a rent or a lease, that they uphold that.
Is the umbrella group the one that provides the faith-based recovery services?
That's me. That's Greystone Tranquility Family Recovery. We would be either, whichever order you want to put us in. I prefer 8th nonprofit because I prefer to be last. But we're praying to have a minimum of 8 nonprofits, and that would be us. We would be no different than any of the other 7 nonprofits, except for we would own the building.
So is it fair to say that then the others, although you providing a space that's a service for them, their contributions will end up funding
The building. Cover costs is primary function. And we have an estimated amount of what covering the cost on that facility would be, as large as it is, what would be to heat it, to have the internet services at a high enough speed to handle the capacity, et cetera. And that comes up to about $60,000 a year, about $5,000 a month. That includes fuel, transportation, everything. And that's allowing about $1,000 to $1,100 over allowance, just in case. We don't know what lights are going to have to be fixed. We want to go into this as Greystone, not the umbrella. As Greystone, we want to go into this in a build-to-suit situation. Taking that building, purchasing it, and then getting it into a situation where a nonprofit, as they're coming through, they're walking, they say, I want this space. This will work. I'm like, okay, great. What color pergo do you want? What color carpet do you want? What color this? Are you going to need any type of extra access for handicap? We build it to suit, basically. And then they go on to a lease, or they can, however, we haven't got those exact details sorted out because all nonprofits are going to have different financial situations. Some may want to go on a lease. And there might even be a few, we're hoping for like another 4 or 5 that are just coming in there and using the space once a week or twice a week, or using it for meeting space. We want as many action-oriented people in that building as possible. We can't have any more lip service. Too many people will talk about doing this and doing that, and it stretches into 6 months and it stretches into years. We need people of action in that building, people who are going to be on the ground every single day, not afraid to get dirty. And those are the kind of people that we are going to vet and have in there as our partner nonprofits.
Have you identified a space in Union City?
Yes, the former First Christian Church. I believe it's close to Plum Street. a large, like cream-colored building?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oaken Howard, or Oaken Plum.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about, as far as working with the various nonprofits,
Yes, sir.
One of the things that, a lot of nonprofits will fail not because of lack of funding or lack of initiative on their mission, but on their inability, inability to, let's just say, jump through all the government hoops.
Yes.
Maintain their status. Or do you have a plan to, in terms of that as part of the oversight, that to help the not-for-profits maintain their status, and or at least observe that they are doing that so that they don't fail?
Yes.
Because I can see, there are a lot of people that have great intentions and have a lot of abilities, but they don't have the abilities, or they don't have people in place that have the abilities to do those things. So some of that is, as Bob can attest, some of that's pretty difficult to walk through the 501c3 process, for example.
Tim, it sounds like it's close to your heart, Tim. It sounds like you've seen some things fail, or
Well,
yeah.
I've had a lot of exposure.
Okay. I can appreciate that. And I've seen a lot of nonprofits fail. Are we going to insist upon seeing paperwork and statuses if for some reason there's a question that comes up? Obviously, but we're in this to help others, and we're not having any anticipation. If Ryan Prinky is our attorney, and I use him all the time for everything, so I'll have his business card and help him out in any way possible. Yes.
I look at it almost from the standpoint of more of a offering of service. Do you need help with this?
Yes.
Are you okay here? Make sure everybody is.
That's a good point. I think we should make that part of the menu that we go down when we're serving, when we're doing the vetting process.
And it's in the best interest of everybody involved, because if somebody falls out of compliance, it can reflect badly on
Yes, it can.
on the whole collective, and so you want to make sure of that. And I don't think it shouldn't be anything at all confrontational
Right.
or hard nosed
Just
at
make
all.
it. Could probably make it part of the regular criteria. Yeah, a consistent annual check on
Make
things,
sure that
submit your
everybody's
papers.
up to, that everybody's okay, that they're up to speed and so forth.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think we'll, honey?
It's going to be cheaper to fix it beforehand than after.
Absolutely. And we will always, I think from the very beginning that the folks that are going to work for us will know that we're easily accessible, ridiculously easily accessible. Anybody that we serve with or for, you can call us anytime, day or night. We try the best to answer our emails. Our website, it looks like a bomb blew up on it, so it's just not that great. But emails and phone every single time. As far as the tenants or the partnership nonprofits, anything they want or anything they need, they're going to know that going in. So this is, I don't think that there's going to be a situation where they're in fear of losing something, or they're not going to be honest about this because of I'm going to make it very clear that whatever it takes to keep them operating, as long as they're operating in a good capacity and helping people, I'm going to do it. I'll get whatever attorney I need to involved. I'll help them with what it costs.
And you may have not-for-profit A that has some very capable people and some real expertise, and C
Yep.
over here that says, I'm struggling, and with this side, you say, okay, let me hook you up with A, and so it's not that the management is doing it so much as
Yep.
working within the group.
That's the cooperative part of it. I'm a firm believer in working together. God didn't put us on this earth to be alone. We need each other. We need each other to not just get by, we need each other to thrive. So I think that the cooperative nonprofit idea is something that's been weighing heavily on my mind for years. And I haven't believed in coincidences in a long time, but just being invited to a breakfast meeting and hearing the hearts from around that table and what their intentions were for their community, I had to be a part of it. You couldn't stop me. I was chomping at the bit. I think I probably sent 40 emails and 20 texts.
He's referencing a meeting we had Sunday in November at Roots with the YMCA was there, Greystone, Brianna's Hope, Jason Craig. Jason Craig, what he represents, Steve, you remember who he
A few counties recovery.
recovery for
Delaware,
Yeah.
Randolph, and
and then Centerstone, I think, was there also, and I'm trying to think. It seemed like there was one other entity there. It was a good representation, and it was universally agreed amongst everybody. It was an open forum, and we were trying to get out of everybody, what are the needs here? Well, the need is great. We're coming about this and it seems like umpteen million different angles, and the ability to come together and create something where it's a umbrella service to address the multitude of needs that exist was a viable route to go. And so that kind of spawned this initiative. They actually have an avenue to acquire that building, if I understand correctly.
yeah, we have a specific budget that a benefactor has allowed us on it. It gives us an interest-only note. I could take care of that. I take care of that with my pension now, but when an interest-only note would be easily, I could pay down principal on it with costs. So, we have enough to buy it and get it build to suit. We're praying. We have not got full final estimates and things, but we should have enough money to get it to the build to suit stage with at least 1 or 2 offices and 1 or 2 restrooms, so that when people are walking through, they can kind of see, oh, that's what it's going to look like.
So there's a lot of other parties that have been at the table already in this with the purpose of vetting this out to see is this possible? Is it needed? And is there interest? And so that's why they're here today. So this is step 1. So step 2 would be them coming back and presenting again with kind of a more detailed outline, and for you guys to have stuff in front of you to be able to see as to what's entailed, what the plan is, what the mission is, and kind of, where we go from there. Does that sound?
Sounds good.
Yep.
Any other questions that yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was going to say, I think this is, the Johnson & Johnson settlement funds that we would potentially be
Yes,
getting.
right. Yeah.
I think this is something that, we could, use to contribute to this cause.
Right. Exactly,
I think
because
it
that
makes
kind of
a lot of
speaks to the
sense.
heart of what
Yeah,
it's recovery.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, and that seems to be a missing element. I shouldn't say missing. I mean, it's an element we can more adequately address.
Yes.
Let me put it that way. Because there are some people out there pouring their hearts into this.
Yes.
But I think there is opportunity to come together at a higher level.
So many people out there investing so much of their own finances and so much of their own time, but sprinkled so intermittently. If we could get them all under one roof and build up a head of steam and train additional volunteers and then send them back to those same places, instead of one person there being helpful, there would be 10 or 15. It just always happens that way.
Well, listen, any other questions for them to prepare for? Okay, good. Well, thank you both. so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, department reports, and you guys are free to, or you're free to stay, but you're definitely free to go.
That's a hard pass.
I don't have.
God bless
any-
you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll have some things for next meeting regarding some updates for us regarding different projects in town. So I will have that for the next January 23rd meeting. Jan, do you have anything for the group?
No.
Council members, Brandon, we'll start down there with you this time.
Just real quick, Randolph County Solid Waste Management, we've got the electronics pickup, a special day with Pollution Solution on January 21st. That's a Saturday from, I believe it's 8 to noon. 8 to noon. Just, wrapping up the year, one of the things that, is a indicator of how we're doing from a county perspective in terms of recycling is the host fees collected. And the host fees, basically we're, for the 5th year in a row, we hit a record number for, Randolph County. So kudos to Shonda and Tanya and all the work that they do with the Randolph County Solid Waste Management Department. So good news there. And then Randolph County United, looks like they're going to have a Union City office hours at Hometown Coffee on the 10th from 8:30 to 2. So if anybody wants to check out, what's going on with Randolph County United, stop in and see them there.
Awesome.
Have a coffee at Hometown Coffee.
That's tomorrow then.
Yeah, looks like it, yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
That's all I had.
All right. Bob? Anything?
I don't have anything.
No problem. Jason?
I do not.
No problem. Tim?
No, I don't.
Okay. Tito?
Well, I don't either. I mean, I'm working on a couple of things that are pretty premature, but
Okay.
I'll tell you about them when time comes.
All right. Well, thank you. We don't have any old business. Some new business. Elect 2023 council president. So that's where I'll open it up to the floor and leave it to you guys.
Hey, you skipped over me there,
Yeah.
boss.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Steve. Sorry.
The only thing I have real quick is the conversation about the enterprise rent-a-car fleet management program. I don't know if you guys had any additional questions. They're not here tonight because I personally feel like timing's off a little bit, but I think we have to do something with the police car issue. What I would like to propose is that you guys consider going ahead and moving forward with one vehicle. We're looking at a 6 to 7 month delivery time on that vehicle, as they indicated at our last meeting. I would like to move forward with that. Hopefully in that timeline, we're going to hear back from the fleet grant from the USDA that should give us some more clarity on that. So we have a need. I want to address that need as soon as we can. If it's not today, that's fine, but I want to address it as soon as possible. And if you guys have any additional questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions?
No.
Do you have thoughts on moving forward and getting at least a vehicle ordered for the police department?
Yeah, I mean, it's just replacing one that you're down already, right?
It's replacing one with a
Makes
blown
sense.
motor, correct?
And in the Board of Works discussion today, one thing that was clarified with Captain Mock was that he can manage, the question I asked was, can you manage this wait time with the vehicles they have? Because I was concerned about whether they needed to do that. And basically this would be, the pool vehicle that they normally have that reserves would use and so forth gets moved into a regular slot with the current situation, and he said they can manage that, and he's confident that they can manage that through this period of time. So it's not critical that we have a vehicle immediately. So.
And if I recall from the conversation in December, we were going to move forward with the idea of retrofitting the other Tahoe and K9.
And that should be done by Wednesday.
Yeah.
That,
Okay.
that process is already nearing completion. They're also decommissioning the one with the blown motor, meaning they're taking all the lights, the sirens, the radios, all the video equipment, and all the logos off the vehicle while they're stripping out the K9 containment system. So we're going to be making a decision very soon on what to do with that car that has no motor. Probably it'll go in the city auction this spring, but that determination hasn't been made completely yet, but we don't believe there's going to be enough value for it to be a trade-in vehicle or anything like that. So again, the biggest thing that I'm looking for is just keeping this thing moving. I think we need more clarity on some things to formally switch our fleet over to it, but I do definitely want to get the police car at least on order so we have a vehicle coming somewhere out there in the future.
So that's committing to purchasing a vehicle from them, but not necessarily going with a fleet agreement that will get
Correct.
some additional information on. So
Correct.
yeah, I think that makes sense.
Will they still do like the service?
They can if that's how we build the contract,
Yeah.
which I think is a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's part of the things that I want more clarity in is, you know, I know what we've spent in maintenance in 2022, but I can't tell you that 100% of the maintenance money that our departments have spent in 2022 is specifically to certain vehicles or anything like that, because
Right.
we don't have the ability to track records like that.
Yeah.
I believe this fleet maintenance program and then managing the preventative maintenance will enable us to identify that. I think we'll be smarter down the road by moving our fleet to a system like this. But at the same time, it's a big push on the payment side of this conversation. And it's something that when we do switch, we can't, you know, stick our toe in and then pull it back and decide we're going to change, because we'll see no benefit in the savings. So
So does he have, do you want to get permission to proceed for the one vehicle?
Yeah.
I would.
Do we need a motion or?
Yeah, do I need
Need a motion?
one motion for that? Yes.
I move that we get permission to proceed with the one police vehicle.
We have first, we have a second.
I'll second.
Jan, if you would roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
Sorry about that, Steve. Anything else?
no worries, that's it.
All right. All right, now I will reopen it to the floor, council floor for the 2023 president.
I will nominate Brandon Elmore to continue as council president.
Can they do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure.
I will second that nomination.
All right. Brandon, are you accepting?
I will accept.
Okay, okay. Would you do a roll call vote?
Brandon Elmore.
I'm guessing I should abstain. but-
Give Bob.
You don't have to abstain.
Bob
Yes.
Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
Not that it matters, but.
Yeah.
Resolution 2023-R-01, which is the increase-decrease resolution. Jan, if you don't mind, I'm going to turn this to you.
Okay, this is where we have to pass resolutions so that I can move this, what we're talking about, some of the appropriation balances that are left in one fund within a department to another. And so increasing one and decreasing another, there's no additionals involved with this. So it's just so that some of the appropriations are not negative.
Any questions?
We discussed this last time, right? We discussed this, that was one of the key things we discussed about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a public hearing and everything. I don't think we have any objections.
No
I
objection?
move, I'll
I'm sorry.
move we accept resolution 2023 R-01 increase decrease resolution by title only.
We have a first, and we have a second.
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
Do we have any visitors wishing to address the council at this time? If so, please state your name, address, and your business, and you have 3 minutes. If not, then the day of the next council meeting is Monday, January 23rd at 6 p.m. And the Board of Works meeting is also that day at 1 p.m. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have first, we have second.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Tim, I apologize. I owe you a text response. You asked about the plumber.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any suggestions for a plumber for gentlemen trying to move into town for?
Best mowing.
Huh?
It's the best mowing.
Yeah.